All right, welcome to Frank Teaches DevOps. Okay, in today's video, I will be discussing about NAT Gateway. NAT Gateway. In my previous video, I did something about NAT instance. All right. So, what was the idea behind NAT instance, NAT gateway? Okay, this is the idea. Okay, you have um, a VM, an instance. Okay, behind a private subnet, and it is understood that um, you have some critical workloads, all right, hosted on on this instance, and because of the critical nature of of the workloads on the running on the instance, you don't want this instance to be accessed from the internet. Okay, rather you only want the instance to access the internet. Right, maybe you need to do some upgrade, some updates. Okay, you need to install some packages from external repository. Hence you want the instance to have an internet. All right, a one-way internet traffic, a one-way internet traffic. Yeah, so for that purpose, you may want to use a NAT gateway. All right. But however, in my previous video, I've talked about NAT instances. NAT instances, they behave the same way as NAT gateway, but they are a bit tricky. However, AWS do not recommend the use of NAT instances because if the instance, because in a NAT instance you have to set up a live, all right, a live EC2 instance. Okay, what if the instance goes down? It means that your private instance that depends on that NAT instance will not be able to talk to the internet. Okay, so that's why. So if you not watched that video, I've already made that video, and this is the link to that video. All right, let me pull this out. Accessing the internet from an EC2 instance hosted within a private subnet using a NAT instance. Okay, so kindly go and watch that video, and yeah, so this is different. In this we will be using uh, a NAT gateway itself. Okay, by that I mean I need my EC2 instance to be able to reach the internet, but you can't reach the EC2 instance from the internet. So that illustration is in this diagram. Okay, so this is my VPC. So in my VPC, I have public subnets and private subnets that are already associated to private and public route tables. Okay, so here is the catch. I have a bastion host. All right, from the bastion host, I should be able to reach the private host via SSH. Okay, via SSH. This is possible, but okay, this is possible. The bastion host is deployed in the in public subnet, meaning that it can talk to what the internet back and forth. However, the private subnet before using NAT cannot talk to the internet. All right, you can't talk to the internet. You can only communicate with the bastion host back and forth. So, with the NAT gateway in place, with NAT gateway in place, this private subnet can talk to the internet through the NAT gateway. So the traffic coming from the private host will pass through the NAT gateway and get to the internet. But the internet cannot come through. The internet can go to the NAT gateway, but it can't come to the private subnet. So there's no route from the internet to the private host. The only route you have is outbound route, but there's no inbound route. You only have an outbound route. Okay. So without further ado, let's just show us what we've done and what we will do. So prerequisite is expected that you've had a PVC, a VPC, a private and public subnet, private and public route tables. You've also associated um, your subnet to your route tables, and you've given your public route table an internet access with an internet gateway. Okay, so now the steps. You may have to create a version host, which I've done already, an EC2 instance. You create a private instance, and you access the version host. You access the okay, confirm access from version host to the private host via SSH. All right, and you try pinging from the version host and private host, and yeah, let's see this last part. So now I have these already. I have these already set up. But please, for you to understand this very well, you have to watch this video, all right? The instance, not instance. Okay, I have these two instances well set up, the version host as well as the private host. So from the version host, I can SSH to the private host. So if you can see on the private host, I don't have any public IP. So meaning that I can't talk to the internet. But the version host, I have a public IP, so I can talk to the internet. So let's see how we can connect from the version host to the private host via SSH. So I go to my connect and instance connect and click on what connect. While that is up, let's go back and also do the same thing with this connect and SSH. I need this part, that's why. All right. So let's see, where are you? Okay, great. So we are now in our version host. As you can see, it is labeled version host. Okay, and yeah, let's now try to see how we can connect from the version host to the private host via SSH. So this is the SSH connection string for the private host. So let's come here. But before we go there, let's check if we could reach the internet. Fine. This is the version host, and the version is communicating directly with the internet. You can see the version host is talking back and forth, all right, with the internet. So I can reach the internet can reach me as well. Okay, so let's terminate that. So now I want to SSH into the private subnet and see if I could do the same thing. Right, so this is the private subnet. You can see IP has changed as well as host name. So if I try to ping Google, we can't reach Google, right? Because there's no route. There's no route to the internet from the diagram, right? So far, there's no route to the internet. Now, for we to establish this route, we need to go to the VPC and set up a NAT gateway. So for that, let's hop onto VPC. Let me terminate this. Terminate it. Go to VPC and VPC NAT gateway, and let's create a NAT gateway. Create a NAT gateway. Let's call that demo NAT gateway. In which subnet, mind you, this NAT gateway must be deployed inside a public subnet. A public subnet that already has an internet access. All right, so that's why you must deploy it in a public subnet. Okay, don't forget this part. So subnet, I'm going to look for my public subnet, bob pub sub 1. Okay, this is a public subnet with internet access. Then the connectivity type is going to be public, um, definitely. Then every NAT gateway must have a public IP, a static public IP. And for that, we use an elastic IP. We associate an elastic IP to the NAT gateway. So we click on what? Allocate elastic IP. So this NAT gateway now has an elastic IP. Great. All right. So that's all. Click on what? Create NAT Gateway. So NAT Gateway takes a lot, takes time to come up. Okay, takes time to come up. I'm going to pause the video, and once it's done, I'll be right back. All right. It takes about 5 minutes thereabouts to get this up and running. The NAT gateway up and running. So now that the NAT gateway is active, okay. So the connectivity type is public and elastic. It has an elastic IP. Here's the private IP. This VPC and in the public subnets, and yeah. So that's it. So the next thing we need to do now, we need to attach, which is this last point. Attach a NAT gateway as a route to a private route table. Okay, so move on to back our VPC and go to route tables. So here is the the private route table that has the associated subnets, private subnets. Okay, so in this route table, I'm going to define a new route, right? A new route for the NAT gateway. So this is all I need to do. Select the routes, the route table, the private route table. You go to actions and click on what? Edit route. Edit route. Okay, so we add a new route. So the new route is internet route, which is 0.0.0/0, which goes anywhere. Okay, anywhere. This is called anywhere. All right. Okay, then what is my target? My target is a NAT gateway. All right, a NAT gateway. Okay, click on NAT gateway. So the moment you click on NAT gateway, you're going to see your NAT gateway, which we created, which is demo NAT gateway. So click on it and click on save changes. Save changes. So now that this has been set up, let's try and go back and see if we can still initiate the ping. All right, so this is the private subnet. So if we try to ping again, let's see. So you can now see that connectivity is now going through. So my at this juncture, you can see that my private host is now talking to the internet, right? Private host is now talking to the internet. So the traffic coming from the private host is being routed through the NAT gateway to the internet. So this is how you make your private host to talk to the internet without the internet talking back to the private host. I hope you've enjoyed this session, and thank you for your patronage. Thank you for always being there. Thank you for always sharing, liking, and giving us the necessary support that's needed for us to do more videos for you to enjoy. Thank you, and see you in my next video. So you can see, let me put it on. So connection is going through. So this is it. That's it. Thank you. Thank you.